Most people are waiting for a moment that never comes. The perfect mood, the perfect silence, the perfect stretch of time where life finally slows down and they can get serious with Allah. That moment is a lie. And while people wait, days pass, hearts harden and distance grows. Allah was never asking for your hours. He was watching whether you return, quietly, repeatedly, even when nothing feels urgent, even when nothing feels miraculous. 7 minutes a day doesn't sound impressive. That's exactly why it works. Because it exposes who is sincere and who only shows up when life is on fire. What changes destiny is not intensity. It's the decision to stop disappearing. And the moment you stop disappearing, everything begins to shift. 1. Consistency is proof of sincerity. Anyone can turn to Allah when life is soft or when fear suddenly tightens around the chest. That kind of worship is easy because it is driven by comfort or panic. Comfort makes worship pleasant. Panic makes worship urgent. Neither requires discipline. What reveals sincerity is what you do when neither comfort nor fear is present. When life is ordinary. When nothing is breaking. When nothing is being taken away. Consistency is sincerity you can't fake. It is proof that your relationship with Allah is not transactional. You are not showing up only to ask, to beg, or to escape consequences. You are showing up because you recognize authority, not because you are cornered by circumstances. That matters a lot. When you return to Allah every day, even briefly, you are saying something powerful without words. You are saying, I am not here for a rush. I am not here for a rush. I am not here for relief only. I am here because you are my Lord. Whether my life is calm or chaotic, that message is clearer than hours of worship done once and abandoned for weeks. Long sessions fueled by guilt or fear often burn out quickly. They feel intense, but intensity is unstable. It spikes and crashes. Consistency, on the other hand, survives boredom. It survives dryness. It survives days when you don't feel spiritually connected. That's exactly why it's valuable. Anyone can worship when emotions cooperate. Sincere people worship when emotions are irrelevant. Most people misunderstand this. They think sincerity is about how deeply they feel something in the moment. It's not. Sincerity is about reliability. About whether Allah can expect you tomorrow the same way He could today. A person who shows up daily, even for 7 quiet minutes, is more honest than someone who disappears and reappears only when life collapses. Allah knows the difference between someone who visits out of need and someone who returns out of commitment. One is driven by circumstances. The other is driven by conviction. One treats worship as an emergency response. The other treats it as a foundation. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Consistency exposes excuses. If you can scroll daily, check messages daily, eat daily, and worry daily, then absence from Allah is not a time problem. It's a priority problem. 7 minutes strips away the lie that you're too busy. It forces you to admit whether Allah has a fixed place in your life or a conditional one. This is why consistency changes people before it changes outcomes. It reshapes how you see Allah, how you see yourself, and how you see responsibility. You stop negotiating. You stop waiting for motivation. You simply show up. That is sincerity. Quiet, unimpressive, unshakable. 2. Allah looks at direction, not duration. Most people obsess over how long they worship and completely ignore where their life is heading. They think more minutes automatically mean more sincerity. That's a comforting belief, but it's false. Duration without direction is just motion. You can move a lot and still go nowhere. Allah is not counting your minutes the way you count them. He is watching your trajectory. Are you slowly moving toward Him, or are you drifting away and sprinting back only when damage is done? 7 minutes a day in the right direction outweighs hours followed by neglect, because neglect reverses progress. Direction compounds. Neglect compounds faster. Direction means your life is oriented toward Allah, not just temporarily dependent on Him. It means your default setting is return, not escape. When you miss a day, you feel the loss and come back quickly. When you fall, you don't stay down pretending it doesn't matter. That pattern matters more than how impressive any single session looks. Long worship sessions done occasionally often create a dangerous illusion. You feel like you've done enough, so absence afterward feels justified. The ego uses duration as a bargaining chip. I gave a lot, so I can disappear now. Direction doesn't bargain. Direction is steady. It doesn't ask for credit. It just keeps moving. This is why people who worship consistently change over time. Even if their daily effort looks small, their thinking shifts, their reactions slow, their values settle. They don't just visit Allah, they align with Him. Their decisions begin to reflect remembrance, not just their prayers. Direction. also reveals honesty. If your worship never affects how you speak, how you choose, or what you tolerate, then it was time spent without alignment. Allah is not interested in rituals that end at the prayer mat. He is interested in a life that gradually bends toward obedience. 7 minutes a day creates that bend. It may not feel powerful in the moment, but over weeks and months it reorients the heart. Like a compass being corrected slightly each day, the final destination changes completely. Duration impresses people, direction transforms people, and transformation is what Allah responds to. 3 small deeds train the heart. Most people think the heart changes through big moments, a powerful lecture, a painful loss, a sudden realization. Those moments can wake the heart, but they don't train it. Training comes from repetition, from doing the same small thing again and again, until it becomes part of who you are. The heart is not convinced by intensity, it is shaped by routine. This is why 7 minutes a day matters more than occasional spiritual highs. Small deeds, done regularly, teach the heart what truly matters. They tell it where to return when it wanders, and the heart always wanders, unless it is trained. When you sit before Allah daily, even briefly, you are building familiarity, not drama. Familiarity. Over time, remembrance stops feeling foreign. Worship stops feeling like an interruption and starts feeling like a reset. The heart learns that peace is not found by escaping life, but by anchoring it. People often say they don't feel anything when they worship. That's not a failure. That's part of training. A trained heart doesn't need constant emotional feedback. It shows up because it knows where it belongs. Athletes don't stop training because they don't feel inspired. They train because consistency produces strength. The heart works the same way. Small deeds also protect you from self-deception. Big deeds are easy to exaggerate. Small deeds expose reality. You either did them or you didn't. There's no story to tell, no performance to admire, just quiet obedience. That honesty is what makes small deeds powerful. Over time, these small acts begin to leak into the rest of your life. You pause before reacting, you catch yourself before crossing lines, you return faster after mistakes, not because you became perfect, but because your heart is conditioned to return to Allah instead of running from Him. This is how real change happens. Not through sudden transformation, but through steady conditioning. 7 minutes a day may look insignificant, but it trains the heart to choose remembrance over neglect, and a trained heart does not collapse when tested. 4. Discipline invites divine help. People love the idea of divine help, but they resist the one thing that consistently attracts it: discipline. They want relief without structure, change without commitment, and answers without effort. That mindset quietly disqualifies them, not because Allah is harsh, but because help is entrusted to those who prove they can carry it. Discipline is not about forcing yourself into exhaustion, it's about reliability. When you guard a small daily practice, you are showing Allah that you can be counted on. You are demonstrating seriousness without theatrics that matters more than emotional displays that fade as quickly as they appear. Divine help is rarely poured into chaos. If your life has no protected space for Allah, no fixed return point, no daily anchor, then help has nowhere to land. Discipline creates a container. It gives divine assistance structure, instead of letting it spill into forgetfulness. 7 minutes a day is not impressive to people, but it is powerful in the unseen. It signals readiness. It tells Allah that if He opens something, you won't waste it. That if He gives clarity, you will act on it. That if He removes a burden, you won't return to the same habits that created it. Many people make duperous change while maintaining the same daily neglect. That contradiction delays help. Discipline resolves it. When effort and intention align, assistance follows. Not always immediately, but inevitably. Allah responds to those who move first, even with small steps. Discipline also purifies your expectations. You stop demanding instant results. You stop measuring success by feelings. You begin to trust the process. That trust deepens reliance, and reliance invites help in ways you cannot plan or predict. This is why consistent people often receive openings others don't, not because they are better but because they are prepared. Divine help does not chase those who disappear. It accompanies those who show up. 5. Consistency breaks the ego. The ego loves intensity. It loves moments that feel powerful, visible, and self-affirming. Long prayers, emotional du'as, dramatic returns, all of these can quietly feed the sense that you are doing something significant. The ego feels important when worship feels impressive. Consistency ruins that illusion. 7 minutes a day is not exciting. It doesn't give the ego a story to tell. There is nothing to show, nothing to boast about, nothing to feel superior over. That is exactly why it works. Consistent worship strips the ego of its favorite fuel, recognition, even self-recognition. When you show up daily without emotional fireworks, you are forced to confront an uncomfortable truth. Growth is slow. Progress is often invisible. Allah is not responding on your schedule. The ego hates this. It wants immediate confirmation that its effort is special. Consistency denies it that confirmation. This denial is a form of purification. The ego slowly learns that worship is not about feeling elevated, but about submission, not about being seen as devoted, but about being obedient. That shift is painful at first, because the ego resists anything that makes it small, but only a small ego can carry real faith. Consistency also removes bargaining. The ego loves to negotiate. I did a lot, so I can relax. Now I was intense, so I've earned a break. Daily consistency offers no such deals. You either show up or you don't. There is no credit system, no emotional balance sheet. Over time, this humility changes how you approach Allah. You stop demanding signs, you stop counting favors, you stop measuring worth by output, you begin to serve quietly, steadily, without expectation. That state is dangerous to the ego and precious to the soul. Allah draws people closer once their ego stops standing in the way. Consistency clears that path, quietly, relentlessly. 6. Barakah lives in what you protect daily. Most people ask for barakah while living completely unguarded lives. Their time leaks everywhere. Their attention is scattered. Their days are reactive instead of intentional. Then they wonder why nothing feels settled, why effort doesn't translate into stability, why life feels heavy even when they're doing enough. Barakah does not enter chaos. It settles where something is protected. Barakah is not magic. It is not sudden ease or a life without struggle. Barakah is alignment. It is when effort produces more than it logically should, when time stretches instead of compresses, when burdens feel lighter, not because they disappear, but because you are strengthened to carry them. And barakah almost always attaches itself to something you guard consistently. When you protect 7 minutes daily for Allah, you are doing more than worship. You are declaring boundaries in a world that constantly erodes them. You are saying, this time is not negotiable. That single act introduces order into your life, and order is where barakah begins. Most people let their days decide them. Notifications, demands, moods, and distractions shape everything. Nothing is anchored, nothing is fixed. When Allah has no fixed place in your day, everything else takes his place. Anxiety fills the gaps. Noise fills the silence. Worry fills the waiting. Barakah cannot survive in that environment. Protecting a daily practice creates an anchor. No matter how chaotic the day becomes, there is one return point, one moment that reminds you who is in control and who is not. Over time, that anchor begins to influence the rest of your day. You become less reactive, less scattered, less desperate to control outcomes you were never meant to control. People misunderstand barakah because they chase results instead of structure. They want blessings without discipline. They want ease without consistency. But barakah responds to structure. When Allah sees you protecting time for him daily, even when it costs you comfort, he places protection elsewhere in your life, in your decisions, in your reactions, in what you avoid without fully realizing why. 7 minutes a day doesn't just change what you do during those minutes. It changes how you approach everything else. You begin to value depth over speed, stability over urgency, presence over noise. That shift alone eliminates many self-inflicted problems. Barakah also changes how you experience hardship. Difficulties don't vanish, but they stop overwhelming you. You don't spiral as quickly. You don't collapse under pressure as easily. There is an internal steadiness that wasn't there before. That steadiness is barakah working quietly, reinforcing you from the inside. Another uncomfortable truth is this: what you protect reveals what you truly value. If 7 minutes for Allah feels impossible, it's not because your life is too full. It's because your priorities are misaligned. Everyone protects what they consider essential: sleep, food, work, entertainment. If Allah is not protected, he has been demoted to optional. Barakah does not attach itself to what is optional. When you reverse that and make Allah non-negotiable, even in a small way, something shifts. You stop feeling like life is happening to you. You start feeling oriented instead of lost. That orientation creates clarity, and clarity saves time, energy, and emotional waste. Barakah also multiplies over time. At first you may not notice anything dramatic. That's normal. Barakah is subtle before it is visible. It settles quietly, reinforcing habits, smoothing edges, removing unnecessary friction. Months later, you look back and realize you handled situations that once would have broken you. You avoided paths that once would have trapped you. You remained steady where you once would have panicked. None of that happened randomly. It happened because you guarded something small every day, and Allah guarded something bigger in return. Barakah lives where consistency lives. It does not chase intensity. It does not reward chaos. It settles where Allah is given a protected place. 7 minutes is not about the clock. It's about what you are willing to defend in your life. And what you defend daily is what Allah strengthens quietly. 7. Destiny shifts quietly before it shifts loudly. Most people misunderstand how destiny changes. They imagine a dramatic moment, a sudden sign, a breakthrough so obvious that it feels undeniable. That expectation is the reason many people miss the real shift entirely. Destiny almost never changes loudly at first. It changes silently, patiently, invisibly, long before the results appear. Allah does not rewrite a life overnight. He reshapes the person living it, and that reshaping happens in places no one claps for. In habits, in decisions, in what you return to daily when no one is watching. 7 minutes a day is not about doing something impressive. It's about becoming someone different. Destiny is not altered by wishes. It is altered by direction. When your direction changes, your future follows. But direction does not change through intention alone. It changes through repeated behavior. The same small choice, made consistently, begins to tilt your life onto a new path. At first, the difference is microscopic, almost insulting in how small it feels. But compounding does not announce itself. It proves itself later. People quit too early because they are waiting for confirmation. They want proof that their effort is working, but Allah often withholds visible results while the internal foundation is still weak, not as punishment, but as protection. A destiny upgraded too early collapses the person carrying it. 7 minutes a day is preparation. It is Allah slowly strengthening your inner structure so that when doors open, you don't self-destruct inside them. This is why people sometimes receive what they prayed for and still ruin it. Their destiny changed faster than their discipline, faster than their character, faster than their consistency. Quiet consistency fixes that imbalance. At first, nothing seems different. Your problems are still there. Your struggles don't evaporate. Your prayers don't feel immediately answered. But something subtle begins to shift. You react less impulsively. You recover faster after mistakes. You tolerate less nonsense. You choose better without fully understanding why. These are not coincidences. These are signs that your internal compass is being recalibrated. Destiny does not start changing when circumstances improve. It starts changing when your responses do. When what once triggered panic now triggers patience. When what once pulled you into sin now meets resistance. When what once made you disappear now makes you return. That is destiny moving underground. Allah often changes what you are attracted to before He changes what you are given. He changes what you tolerate before He changes what you receive. He changes what you chase before He changes what chases you. All of that happens quietly, long before life looks different from the outside. This is why consistent people seem lucky later. Others see the outcome and assume favoritism. They don't see the months or years of quiet discipline that made the outcome sustainable. They don't see the unseen battles where habits were built and egos were dismantled. 7 minutes a day feels small because it is small, but destiny is not moved by size. It is moved by loyalty, by return, by who keeps showing up when nothing dramatic is happening. And here is the hardest truth. If you stop because you don't see change, you were never committed to direction. You were committed to results. Allah knows that difference immediately. Direction earns trust. Results are granted when trust is established. Destiny shifts loudly only after it has shifted quietly long enough to hold its new weight. The quiet phase is where most people quit. The consistent few pass through it unnoticed, and when the shift finally becomes visible, it looks sudden to everyone else. It wasn't set sudden, it was earned. Most people will keep waiting, waiting for motivation, waiting for relief to slow down enough to take Allah seriously. That wait costs more than they realize. Allah was never asking for your hours, your exhaustion, or your dramatic promises. He was watching whether you would return daily, quietly, without conditions. 7 minutes is not about time, it's about loyalty. about who you choose when no one is forcing you to choose. Guard those minutes, and Allah will guard what you cannot control. Destiny doesn't move for noise, it moves for consistency.